play the singing bowl. And I discovered that my clients all really like that. And then I started looking into it, and I realized, okay, there are, the singing bowls actually are tuned to the different chakras. So I decided, well, you know, they like that one. Maybe I should get a couple of other chakra bowls too. And so I got them, and I discovered that they really like them too. I also kept investigating, and I discovered that there are different kinds of singing bowls. There are the pure tones that are used for meditation like this, but then there are also healing bowls like this one. It has multiple tones. I discovered that people really like this one. This is tuned to the heart chakra. And so I got all the rest of the set. And I have discovered that I actually teach a meditation in my individual practice too. I teach them the same meditation, and I ask them afterwards if, you know, what the experience was like. And very often they say, oh, this is really relaxing. Sometimes they see colors. Sometimes they find that one bell is really kind of disruptive. Like just this week, somebody said 2 of those bells, they kind of really just jarred with me. And we talked about the chakras a little bit, and he said, yeah, you know, it actually makes sense that my chakras might be a little, need a little clearing out. I don't do that, but I do use the bowls, and if people have a reaction, then I help them explore that. Some of them are for particular, like for people with traumatic experiences. This is the base chakra, which is basically involved with survival. And then I have a Japanese one, which is completely different from all the others. This is for the third eye. And there's, let's see, I forget, is this E or G? I forget now. This would be G. This is the throat. One of my clients is very much into the worship of Tara, and the D bowl, this which is the sacrum bowl, is actually apparently associated with Tara. Now, I generally start and finish with the B bowl, which is for the crown. This is where the divine energy enters. And so I kind of start with with B so that it kind of primes the other chakras, perhaps. Just I have no idea if it actually does that. I just thought, oh, it's nice to start with the divine um, uh, energy, and I also end with that. Okay, so the first bowl I got from my friend who went to Nepal. After that, um, I went to the Himalayan fair, and I thought, oh, that might be a good place to buy bowls. And actually, the heart bowl is a very fine handmade bowl. The others are machine made, but this is the best one I have, and it's and the only place around here I know to get these fine bowls is at the Himalayan fair. But they have a store somewhere where you can actually buy them. But that's a really good place to buy bowls. But also, there are various shops around here. The one I like to go to is in Alameda, and they have hundreds of bowls. I think that's their specialty. And I always want to buy a bowl only after I've actually played it myself with a mallet, and because I want to make sure that not only it's matches the chakra that I'm looking for, but also that I can actually play it, because other people have different. I think the bells seem to be tuned to different people as well. So sometimes I can play a bowl very well and others can't, and vice versa. Okay. Let's see. The composition, the tuning of the bowl is very. It's an art. Um, it has to do with the composition of the bowls and the different kinds of metals that are found in it. There are various sorts of combinations of metals. So you notice that my small Japanese bowl had a very deep tone, but one of the larger bowls had a higher tone. So anyway, let's see. I think that's pretty much everything. I do have reactions. There are occasionally people who say that they have spiritual or divine experiences when they do the meditation. They feel like they've gone somewhere and come back, but they don't know really where they've gone, and they don't really want to be back either. And other people one person said that he saw a goddess appear to him, and I don't think he actually got a message, but it was just apparition, and other kinds of experiences like that. Sometimes people feel that the bowls bring colors, and of course I always ask what colors, and it often turns out that the color is the same color as associated with a particular chakra for that bowl. So I have found that it's a very healing thing. I have a recording of this on my website for my clients to be able to go ahead and play the recording again if they find it relaxing. I tell people that this is something that they can do every day. One of those things where they take control of their own therapy, so that they're doing these things and don't have to depend on me. And they can adapt it any way they want, and they go get their own bowls. Okay, so were there any other questions? Any questions?
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating. I too have traveled in many countries, Nepal and India, that have bowls and have my own collection as well. And I love hearing them, and I love the diversity. Wow, I don't think I've ever heard the heart bowl you described it that had that distinctive two rings, two sounds to it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get them to sound differently. So if I use the wooden end of this, I can just get the high tone. And if I use the lower tone, it wipes out the high tone. So So yeah.
Is that with
And
the felt
I
mallet?
have, I'm sorry?
Is it with a felt mallet?
Yes. I think it's actually suede. I don't think it's felt, but yeah, there are all kinds of them. The size of the mallet actually makes a difference in whether it, on the tone and how easy it is to use. And I used to have like several of these healing bowls before I realized the difference. They were harder to ring, and so I traded them to the merchant for some of the other bowls that were a lot easier. And now I wish I hadn't done that, because those are more for healing rather than for meditation. But of course, the healing bowls all might have different purposes. Often they're tuned for a particular kind of healing. And I don't know how to find out what the particular bowl is used for.
I have a friend who has a glass bowl, a glass healing bowl, and it's actually quite large and valuable. And he got them in Hawaii, and oh, it has a phenomenal sound.
Yeah. Let's see. There's actually a place right near here where they have a singing bowl meditation. Well, they used to have a singing bowl meditation once or twice a week with those glass bowls, and those have a very pure tone.
Mm-hmm.
But they're also kind of fragile. You know, I don't want to have one of those, because if I drop it, it's, you know, it's gone. But also, they might not have the undertones, and I don't think they would use them very much for healing. Let's see, there was another question I saw came up.
Well, it's not a question. I wanted to thank you so much. That was lovely. But I was, sorry, I started. Is it possible for the little stick to be made of suede? Because I've always associated being kind to animals with this sort of meditation, and I just can't imagine they would use an animal skin.
Yeah,
Mine is made of wood. May I say mine is? Yeah.
It is wood, but then the coating of the thing wrapped around the end of it. You know, when I take a close look at it, it looks like leather to me. I don't think that necessarily means they're not being kind to animals, because, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must differ. I'm sorry. I'm a vegetarian, so you know we can be obnoxious, but I find it very hard to associate such a beautiful thing that you're doing with using the skin. And now I'll be quiet. Thank you so much.
I just thought it looked like leather, and so whenever I look at it, it seems like leather to me, suede. But it could be that there are maybe there are also folk ones, and maybe I'm just mistaking it.
There are no bad questions, and there are only good answers. Thank you so much, Ben. Some of the people in the chat room are asking, what is your website, so that they can listen to these sounds?
Right, it's benjonescounseling.com. Okay, and I have under tools, there's a recording of my whole entire meditation. It takes about almost half an hour, but I only use 3 of the bowls, and I'm working on eventually getting one that has all 7, but at the moment it's only 3. And my website is benjonescounseling.com.
You are really good at the making the tones very quickly. Sometimes I notice people take 3 or 4 or 5 different circuits before they can get that amount of tone. How much practice did it take to really get that?
Well, I've been doing this since a lot of practice. I've been doing this with these same bowls for I acquired some of them only recently, but since 2007. But normally the way you get them started is very easy. You give them a hit first, and then you do it. But I have just gotten to the practice where I like to have the tone rise gradually. So I like to do it from scratch, from nothing. Yeah, but if anybody has any difficulty getting it started, I tell them hit it first and get used to maintaining the tone after that. And then after that, it just takes practice. Just keep the tone going.
Ben, didn't you offer to do maybe at our next elected council meeting next month, if we start earlier, that we could do a meditation with your bowls?
Yes. So the plan was to meet about 7:45 in person at that time, but now on Zoom. And I'll do the entire meditation, including the relaxation part and the singing bowls part.
Does that sound interesting to folks? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't see any thumbs up myself, yeah, just let me know if there's even one person who wants to do it. I'll be happy to do it at 7:45 next time.
Do we have?
Go ahead, Erica.
Do we have to be sitting in a certain position or something when we do the meditation so we know how to set ourselves up?
I recommend that people sit in a chair that keeps them kind of fully erect so that they're not slouching backwards,
Okay.
and so that they can kind of have a balance. And I recommend people have their feet flat on the floor, and not too cold. And people usually like to do it with their eyes closed, but sometimes people tend to fall asleep. And so in that case, I say, yeah, open your eyes. It's the same thing. So whatever works for anybody is fine.
Oh, I'm excited that we get to do that next month. I think that's going to be really wonderful now that we all have an introduction to what we're in for.
Let's give him a good hand.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. All
This is how you can clap online, or there's a little button under reactions in Zoom where you can add one of these little clapping things like Felicity, and there's a thumbs up that Christine added, and so you can do this if you're on video, which is American Sign Language for clapping or thank you, or amen, or ashe, or amin, amen. So thank you so much.
I'm going to move on after that delightful time to our reports. And winter nights, I'd like to start with because, oh my goodness, it's been impacted by this quarantine. And Judy, I believe you're on, and I'd like you to tell us about how you're all coping and what's going on at the shelter. Can you unmute Judy?
Okay, I just unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay, good. Winter Nights is carrying on. We are doing a shelter in place. We started out 2 weeks ago with 22 people in one room in their, and they were sleeping in their tents. And that was down from about 30, which we had previously. And the reason we were down is because people found housing. And now we are down to 10 because people found housing. And the rest of the group that's there's 3 families, and they're all talking to housing agents, and we're hoping that they will be housed within the next probably 2 to 4 weeks. So we're spending a time at Mount Diablo UU Church right now, and that would be probably from the next till we close, because we've decided that we're going to close. We're not taking any more families in. The one thing really difficult adjustment we had to make was that we have no volunteers. And we usually have about 100 volunteers a week who provide food and activities and things for the families. And so we have eliminated all of that. And the families are taking care of themselves. And one of the things that we added was they're doing chores, which we haven't had them do chores before. And they're doing really well with that, which is wonderful. We do have a woman in right now who has cancer, and she's been with us for several months, and she's getting treatment, and she's doing fairly well. We would really like to have her housed. That would just be wonderful for her situation, but it hasn't happened yet. But she is talking to a group, and she's got to do a certain number of things like a live scan. Well, you know, how do you do that if you're in sheltering in place? There's just a lot of things she can't do. So we're hoping that we can get through some of those through electronic means. And so we also have a parking lot program, which is at Will's Church. and we have between 5 and 7 people there every night. And we have opened the Oasis, which is our day center, so that they can be sheltered, or they can have showers and can take care of things that they need to do personally. And but they're really confounded because all the parks have been closed, and because they have to leave during the day, and all the parks are closed, and fast food restaurants, people don't, there's no walk-ins, so there's no place for them to use the bathroom, and so that's a difficult thing. We're in conversation with CORE outreach team for them to be working on that, and we're very much considering extending that because it would benefit them greatly to have to be there longer. And the ones who come every night, and they're very thankful for that. So if we close one door, the shelter, we can keep another door open, which will be good. The last thing is that we are working on becoming our own 501c3, and that's an arduous process. We have done all the paperwork and applied to the state and to the federal government, and we are now incorporated, and that doesn't give us much advantage at all until they grant us our 501c3. So we have a lot of decisions to make. We have a really, really active transition and executive team, and everybody's working hard and meeting. We meet about 3 times a week on Zoom, and that's it, unless somebody has something else to add.
Yeah, we've been working together with Judy on this, and it's really an exciting time for Winter Nights to become their own standalone charity. Yeah, Bill.
I just want to give a huge shout out to Bill Shaw, our program director. He is a rock star, I tell you. Between Judy and Bill Shaw, they are just taking care of our clients so well. And the whole executive team's doing a great job, and especially having to go through all of the protocols for the shelter in place and the stay-at-home orders. One of the groups that's the most at risk right now are homeless people and people living without shelter, precisely because of the reason that Judy lifted up with the folks that are in our parking lot program. There's no place for them to go. All of the libraries are closed. All of the Starbucks are closed. We may have to open our parking lot program during the day to allow them access to restrooms on those days when the Oasis Center isn't open. So we've been really flexible this year, and I just have to give a big kudos to Judy and Bill and the whole staff and the executive team. Kudos and thank you, and big gold star on your forehead, Judy.
Yeah.
Thank you. For those of my friends who say they don't have anything to do, I wish they could be on some of my Zoom meetings. They've taken a lot of time. Okay. And I'm one of those volunteers that can't go to the shelter, so that is very hurts me deeply, because that's a good place to be. But like you said, Bill is working things, and our staff is amazing, and it's really working out well.
I love the idea, Judy, about about figuring out ways to open bathrooms and electricity so people can charge their phones. I've been talking to people in parking lots, and that's a real issue. They tell me that they can't recharge their phone and they can't walk up and get fast food. Yeah, so new challenges. Let's see, our other program that is tremendously also impacted is our juvenile chaplaincy. And Julius is on, and I want him to tell us how is he managing all this in quarantine time. Julius.
Hello, everyone. Well, I thank you for your thoughts and your prayers. We've definitely felt them. We've been extremely impacted in that we are able I'm sorry. Okay. We're unable to have any volunteers come into the facilities. And I recently myself just got clearance maybe a week or so ago. At first, I was not able to go. But I've been thinking of creative ideas and ways that we can stay engaged and do the best that we can do. I've been in constant contact with the probation management and the directors there. We're piloting our pen pal program, which is something that we've been wanting to do. And so something will be coming out soon. I'm getting a proposal together to send to Will and the administrative staff to get disseminated. But we're asking people to write letters or notes of encouragement or get cards that we can give to the young people, as well as the probation staff to keep them encouraged and motivated, or share whatever it is you'd like to share during this time. And this is something that I'd hopefully like to continue, because there are people who are either unable to come in the facilities or either prefer to engage in different ways. And we think we're grateful for different modes and means of communication. I will also add that I'm also accepting DVDs currently to play during our normally scheduled service times, because people are unable to come in. They're working on getting Zoom capabilities and Microsoft Suite, and all the different stuff that they don't have, because the probation department is quite behind with technology. But we're just doing the best that we can, and I will be reaching out to some of you individually as well as collectively when the announcement goes out about how to receive cards and letters. Thank you.
So Julius, how are you going to connect folks with pen pals?
Well, I'm thinking of how to do that. There are some restrictions as it relates to giving out names and things of the sort, unless you are a volunteer that goes in, you have a rapport with the young person and things of that nature. So that's one thing I'm working on, to figure out if I can do initials or how to do that as far as addressing them. Right now, I just have everything being done kind of anonymously with the people that I have reached out to. So we're working.
And let me just add that we're hoping to put together a whole committee to work with not just the pen pal piece, but also the aftercare piece with Reverend Julius. And if you're interested in that, talk to me. And we're going to set up a Zoom call in a couple weeks, and we'll try to start putting that committee together. And I know that Bill and Holiday Brueggemann from Nancy Batty's church, the First Church of Christ Scientist, is interested in that.
Yes, absolutely.
And we have a few other folks that want to do some work with Julius. And if you're one of those people, contact me and I'll keep you in the loop.
But thank you so much. Any questions?
Do they have to be local, the pen pals? Or like, I have two children. One's an immigration attorney and she's bored sewing masks. Not that she's that bored, but, and then my other son, who's a medical student, is also figuring out how to sew masks and doing a lot of things with shelters. But I think that would be great, but they're in different parts of the country. But does it matter where they are, or?
Yeah, absolutely not. That's the good thing about this opportunity, is that people from all over the world are able to touch lives and just spread a little love, cheer, and encouragement. So I would definitely welcome them from all over. Of course, I will be checking. It's part of my due diligence to check and make sure that everything is appropriate for the young person once I give them out. But we're going to be accepting them from all over, and we welcome you to share it in your networks. We just would like to bombard them with love. If they can get a letter a day, that would be great. Sky is the limit.
Felicity put in the chat, many thanks, Julius.
Thank you.
May I say something? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much for this. Many, many years ago, I was a dorm mother at Job Corps in Alameda County, in Dublin, Pleasanton, and people at the Lawrence Laboratory, some scientists and others, were interested and took part in visiting the young people who were treated like prisoners, actually, because they weren't allowed to go out into the community. The community was afraid of them. And I wondered if maybe you had contacts at the Lawrence Livermore Lab, even though they're not in Contra Costa.
You know, I do have contacts at Lawrence Berkeley Lab, National Lab, and so maybe I can maybe I will look into that. Thank you for that suggestion. I appreciate it.
There were some people that were technical and scientific also.
Thank you. I will look into that for sure.
I also have contacts there. I worked at Livermore for 20 years.
Oh, wow, great.
I know a publisher who has published short stories that prisoners have written, and I was thinking about that. If maybe you could get your incarcerated clients to write short stories, and whether that might be an opportunity to get them published. She has done that before.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a very good
I'll talk to
idea.
her about it and see if she might be interested in working with you on that.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
And you know, we could publish that on our website, Julius.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
First step to major publishing.
Absolutely.
I just think they might enjoy the outlet of being able to write short stories.
I agree. A lot of them do a lot of writing all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Julius. I'm a chaplain at the local prisons, and I was going in and consulting them. But now with this COVID, they will not let us go in, and so many restrictions how to communicate. So I don't know how this juvenile communication is so much open versus adults. They just don't let us communicate.
Well, yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I think that I think the key here is my charge to censor, make sure that everything is appropriate, which is why they're going to allow the Pen Pal program, as we've named it thus far, to happen. And of course, even with the DVDs that come in, I have to review those as well to make sure that it's appropriate for the population that we're serving. And we're basically just doing the best that we can to try to keep spiritual care going, with the limited access that we have during this time.
Thank you for doing it. I appreciate it, Julius.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see, I want to move on and get Ken Sargent to talk to us about our finances and how we're doing in this unusual time.
Let's see, am I on? Can people hear me?
Yes, you are.
I am on. Okay,
yes,
good. Well, we already heard from Judy, and my overall impression is that both I4C and Winter Nights have had a very busy March. Winter Nights received a very substantial foundation grant in the month of March, and so their revenue for the month was up about $38,000 over budget. I4C did not do so and undershot its revenue budget by about $3,300. The expenses for both parts of the organization were over budget. $3,800 for I4C and some $7,600 for Winter Nights, mainly in the area of personnel. For Winter Nights, supplies and professional expense were over as well, and I4C program and printing and software expenses were over. So the bottom line diverged because of that large grant quite a bit between the parts. I4C had a bottom line of minus 174 against budget, and Winter Nights was up some 30,992. In terms of bank balances, Winter Nights is very strong at 190,803, and I4C is where we hope to keep it about 39,136. I'll take questions if you want.
Ken, can I add that we are, Ken and I and the governing board are working on potentially getting a paycheck protection program loan that can be forgiven through the federal government. And so we're actively working that issue. and that may help us with 2 months worth of payroll. And I know Winter Nights is looking at it on their own as well as to whether that makes sense for them. But our main concern is, of course, we want to keep paying people and keep our staff employed.
Right. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you, Ken.
You bet.
Let's see, and you can send me that statements for the minutes. The governing board report, well, as you can hear, we've been really busy in trying to get everything online and get these loans going and assure our staff of employment and figure out ways to work from home and get our operations home-based. And so it's been a challenge, to say the least, but I think we're doing it. I think largely it's been successful. I wanted to get Giff or Channing to come in and chime in on how it is going on our outreach efforts, because we've been reaching out to congregations to find out how they're doing through this.
Thank you very much, Carolyn. This is Biff Barnard, and I'm on the governing board. And the governing board has challenged us to take a fresh look at our communications, our branding and communications, and as well as our outreach to our 108 congregation members. And sort of following that, take a fresh look at fundraising. We figure we need to improve our branding, improve our communications with the outside world, and improve the relationships with our many congregations, and that fundraising will follow that. So Channing is going to talk a little bit about the branding work we've done, but we're all both, Channing is in charge of communications and outreach, and Terry Moss, who I don't think is on the call today, is in charge of the outreach specifically to our congregation members.
Terry is on the call. She can hear you.
Oh, great, Terry. And we're also going to be in fundraising. Once we sort of get a better visibility on I4C through branding and communications, we're going to be looking to have a fundraising committee, people on the elected council and otherwise, who would be willing to work with us to approach not just individuals, but local corporations and foundations who are interested in the community. Banks often have money set aside to give to things like I4C. So we're going to be developing an outreach program for that, and we're going to be looking for elected council members to help us in that. So if anybody is interested in that, I'd love to hear from you. And if anybody's interested in branding and communications, Channing would love to hear from you, and Terry would love to hear from you if you're interested in developing a relationship with your congregations and others to educate them about the work of I4C. And with that, Carol, I'd like to turn it over to Channing, who would like to update the group on what we're doing in branding.
Mm-hmm. And on the website, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Channing. Yeah, go ahead, Channing.
Great. Hi, everybody. I can't see everybody right now, but anyway, I'm really excited to bring an update to the elected council on the progress that the Communications Committee has made this first quarter. I'd like to introduce the team, and that is Celia Menzel, Christine Nadeau, Diane Maltester, Felicity Grove, Maren Stanzik, Margaret Niles, and Zula Reeves. So that's our Communications Committee. We met a couple of times, and we also put our heads together and did a survey of our communications program, and then we came up with ideas and recommendations. I prepared a report from these ideas and submitted it to the board for approval, and the board approved it. So for now, during the COVID period, pandemic period, we've decided to focus our efforts on the following. We have completed our branding. That's a new long form logo and a short form logo. And we're using those. Thank you so much, Will. This is our new short form logo, which is great because it incorporates the name of the council, in one in one logo. So we can use this when there's just a little bit of space. We can use the short form, and then the long form logo has also the Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County. And underneath that, we have now adapted the words caring, diversity, and compassion as our themes. So this is our long form logo and our short form, and Will is currently adapting our branding so that we are current with these logos. We're also working on the website, where this is all based on inputs from the Communications Committee, and we're looking to input all of these ideas for the communications team. And we're working with an outside graphic designer. So stay tuned for as we begin to roll out the website. And we had a lot of really good ideas. We're also working on building our social media presence. And Will is expanding our YouTube channel where he's recording events like the last International Women's Day event that's now online. And also he's beginning to do interviews with elected council members, and those will be posted to YouTube. Check out the first interview that Will did with Randy Thomas, and this is, Will, what is this gentleman's name?
Yep, you're muted, Kim. Will.
Philip Scott is his name. He's the Native American who did the blessing at our annual meeting at Temple Isaiah last year, 2 years ago.
Great. So anyway, stay tuned and check out the YouTube channel because that is now expanding, as well as Facebook and also our Twitter account. The fourth thing that we're working on is developing stories around those three words: caring, diversity, and compassion. And we really invite you to think about your own congregation and or think about I4C and write a brief story about how we are serving in these areas. I'm going to send out an invitation to the entire council to give the instructions for writing those stories. And those will be appearing on our website as well as being reported out at the EC. If you noticed our new spring appeal letter during this COVID-19 pandemic focused on our community of member congregations and reaching out to them one-to-one. A group of EC members and the board as well have collaborated to begin this reaching out. We're currently engaging our congregations to find out, these are the questions that we ask them: how are they doing? How can we be of help? What are they doing during this sheltering time? And encouraging them to reach out to other I4C congregation members near them. Also, we've alerted them to our website and invited them to our EC meetings. There were also a lot of ideas on the communications team for strengthening our elected council meetings to bolster stronger engagement. So we've definitely started the Meaningful Mondays, using Zoom for Meaningful Mondays, and that is a program that many of you have attended. But they're really great. If you have not, please join us on Zoom on Mondays at 12. We're also using Zoom for EC and board meetings, and we'll continue to use Zoom throughout the year. So if you have any ideas that have not been expressed, please send them to me at channingmiller99@gmail.com. I just want to say thank you so much to the communications team for their engagement and wonderful ideas. And I look forward to meeting with you again for further planning.
Thanks, Channing. And this is Will. This is our website right now, and we're going to be redesigning the homepage. And we're going to be moving a lot more of the announcements and links up to the top. We'll be putting our new long form logo up in the top here as well. And updating some of the pages about us and our programs, volunteering, membership. In fact, if you want contact information for any of our congregations, you can just go to this membership page here or up in here, and there's a listing of all of our 108 congregations and organizations, and you can even search them by city. But if you go to the bottom of the home page, beyond the donate here, we have this section of statements and recent happenings, and this is where some of our latest posts, especially on COVID-19, are, including the updated visitation policy on all of the hospitals, which are also not allowing even clergy to visit in order to comply with the stay-at-home order. There's information on the donation and volunteer opportunities during COVID outbreak right here, and this includes ways to donate to different agencies and how they're still serving as they can do so. We have a good collection of prayers from many different faiths, and if you have prayers from your faith tradition that you want to get included on this, I'd be glad to add those to those. Just email those links to me. There's a YouTube of a Sikh prayer in there, and lots of other good prayers and information from different traditions. This one here is, do you need financial help during the COVID-19 crisis? This includes a lot of information about how the county's trying to make sure that all of the information about how to get food, how to get financial help during this crisis is here. And I've been adding to this, and this has been more recently updated as well. And the last one I've added here is on frequently asked questions about the faith-based organization's participation in the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP. And there's some information from a couple different agencies there. One of the things that I'll just point out on this Prayers for Many Faith pages is that we've made this image here, Solidarity with the World, with our new logo in it, that you can download and then print to put in your front window if you want to show your solidarity with the world during this crisis. We invite you to do that. But there's some great prayers and even some quotations from some books that Terry Moss has shared, some of the websites that Celia Menxel has shared, and some great information about some of the peacemaking that's even been going on in Israel, Palestine, and a great Sikh prayer here that Erica Baines shared, a statement from Father Tom and the Interfaith Peace Project. There's really good resources here, as well as on our Facebook page with some good images more on the Facebook page. But our Facebook page, you just search Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County. But if you're talking to folks in other congregations and they're wondering what kind of resources we have, please send them to our homepage and just encourage them to go to the bottom where these 5 links are. And there are a couple of them have been pushed into they're not on the homepage anymore, but if you just go to the newsletters or the statements, you can see links to a lot of these are here as well, including some of our older links that had some information that there's still a need for blood drives. And even though it's harder to host blood drives, they are looking for congregations to host blood drives. But you can also encourage your membership to set up an appointment, and there's links in this link on how to set up an appointment where you can go in a place where you know that they're doing all of the best caring to make sure that no one's passing on the virus to other folks, as well as a really good link on what congregations are doing to respond to the COVID-19 health policies, and then the county's latest links to the county's latest information on how to not spread that. And then, of course, we're encouraging everyone to participate in the census. The census started April 1st. If you haven't, it's all online now, and everyone has a unique identifier number for your address, and whenever you do the census, they're asking that you do that online with that unique number, but you give the information for your whole household. So even if you're living with other people, you do it for everyone, not just for your own family. And we've had a contract with the county to try to help get some of the hard to count faith communities to participate in the census. We have one person who's still doing some training, but that's about all we've been able to do under the stay-at-home order. So as you're talking to anyone in other faith communities, please encourage them to encourage their congregations to participate in the census, because every person who does not participate in the census means a loss of $10,000 to $20,000 per person for the county's funding that comes from the federal government. That's why it's so important for us to be able to make sure we have a full count of all of the people, documented or undocumented, that are living in the county. If we don't get everyone counted, California could actually lose a congressperson. We actually stand to lose a congressperson if we don't get everyone counted here in California. So it's very important for us to participate in that. So we encourage you to use our website, send people to those links where I continue to update all of that information on a regular basis.
Thank you, Will. I wanted to start us on our interfaith dialogue, and I'm going to have Will manage it, because Will, you've gotten really skilled at doing this. But it's raise your hands or indicate that you wish to talk through chat or flag, and we will manage this as civilly as we can. But we wanted to discuss, what is our perception of our biggest loss and biggest gain from this pandemic crisis?
Forgive me, Carolyn, can I say something? I'm going to leave the meeting. Yes. I'm not feeling really well, and I just want to say two things.
Okay.
Sorry to be rude. The first is that it's Passover, Easter, and Ramadan's coming up. I wanted to wish everyone the best. And secondly, I understand that Marc Desaulniers is still quite ill. I haven't heard anything, and I wanted to add my prayers and suggest that we pray for him. And thank you. And I'm going to leave the meeting now.
Thank you, Celia.
Yep. Thank you.
So what I'm interested in is your perception of what is being handled well, and what should we focus our efforts on? What do you think where can we help the most? So I open this to the floor, and I want to hear from you. How are you doing, and how's your faith community handling this? What are the big successes, and what do we need to work on? Thank you.
You should be able to unmute yourself, but if you have a video, it would be good for us to see, so we can call on one person at a time. Biff?
I might start, as many of you know, I'm with URI, the United Religions Initiative, of which I4C is one of our thousands of cooperation circles. And we have frequent Zoom calls with our leaders all over the world. We have 21 offices around the world. And what really comes home to me is we're all in this together, whether you're black or white or brown, gay or straight or bi or trans, whatever your religion is, whatever country you live in, we're all going through the same thing in various degrees. And we're all in this together. Unfortunately, I think many of our leaders don't feel that way, and they're still pointing fingers at each other. But I think it's up to us to come together and recognize that there's a higher power that's sort of sending a message to us that we'd better get our program together. And hopefully, rather than, as we come out of this, rather than going back to the way it was, hopefully we come out with a much better view of the world, that we are in this together. Let's work together, and let's support each other, and that we have a better world and we deal with the environment more effectively. So it's encouraging, I think, that so many people around the world are feeling that way. And I think it's a good perspective, I think, to have, that sometimes we're just stuck in where we are in the United States, but recognize this really is something that is absolutely global.
Thanks, Biff. Erica, and then Felicity.
Just a reminder, this month is also the Sikhs' biggest religious celebration, Baisakhi. That's when the Sikh religion itself was formally formed. This month is actually a very big for Sikh temple in a way that it's also the celebration of harvest season, because this is the time in Punjab where harvest of the wheat and the rice is done. And so there are a lot of massive celebrations, and all of those have been canceled, but I'm amazed at the number of children working with technology and how they're still practicing their dances and sharing pieces of it together throughout the world, and some very humorous ones that has been keeping with comic during this time. So I think children, especially for Sikh children who are, during this month are so busy, not just with school, but also getting together and getting ready for this big celebration. Sikhism, by the way, is full of dances and colors, and so there's a lot of that, and so a lot of that is done by technology, which is wonderful to see. The other thing is that here in Richmond, we luckily, for all of you who know that we also run the Food for Thought program, which feeds the Richmond school children during when the school is off. The school is still providing food. So that is kind of nice. So we were sort of, our Food for Thought organization is sort of on the back burner right now, because the school has been able to provide food to those children, which is kind of nice. There are other small little programs on the side. We have our next door that we're able to quickly pull together funds that's able to get food to the food bank, and down to Sojourner Truth, which the church that basically every third Saturday provides food to the extreme impoverished in Richmond. That's going on very well. Right now we can't really be there physically, but people have been able to donate, and so we have been able to have sufficient food picked up from the food banks and provided. Unfortunately, we don't really know how people are doing, because they're not able to come to the church, and we ourselves are not there. So all we can really do is read on Nextdoor. Unfortunately, a lot of these impoverished don't have technology, so it's sort of worrisome. It makes us wonder how most people that do come every third Saturday at Sojourner Truth, how they are really doing with food. At least we are able to get the funds and the food. So let's hope they're doing well, and hope there's a way for them to contact us or somebody who can get food to them. I think as far as how this should affect us all, Modi, the Prime Minister of India, I think had an amazing statement, and he said early on when the lockdown was done, not that I'm a big fan of Modi, but he basically said, you could be heck of rich, you could be heck of poor, a billionaire, of any caste, any religion, this virus does not care. I mean, this is one time that we should drop everything and see each other as equal, which was kind of a great statement from a person who has been, at least from my religious perspective, considered a little bit of a nationalist. But I think that's what we should take out of this, is that this virus has brought us basically that Sikh prayer that I put on basically says that we have basically crumbled down to our feet, and all of us have basically lost our colors and everything, because all of us are desperate for your help, and all of us pray to you together. We have forgotten who we are. We actually all know that we are your children. Can you please help us this time? We will change. Perhaps maybe you can help us change. That was the prayer. So I think that in that sense, there is a little bit of a community building, which I think is great.
Thank you, Erica. If there are videos of the kids practicing or performing, we'd sure love to share those on our Facebook page or our website as well. So please be sure to share that with us.
Okay, thank you.
Felicity?
I'll show you this. I don't know if can you see that? That's Mount Diablo. You don't want to see me anymore. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So
I don't think we all saw the picture you were trying to show us. You can, if you could show us that again.
Okay.
Trying to convey.
Can you see that? Trees.
Try it again,
Diablo.
Felicity. We missed it. Sorry.
Don't worry. Okay, so this time of year we've just gone past spring equinox. Spring equinox is about balance. So equinox means literally balance, equal night and day. And this is what I think we're going through. This is what my faith tradition would say, is that we're rebalancing. We're rebalancing what's important. And I think there's been plenty of beautiful YouTube videos of people being so amazingly creative. And what are they trying to do? Connect. And that's what we're about, is connecting. And connecting not just with ourselves, just with each other, irrespective, like Biff said, it doesn't matter who you are. It's about connecting with another person, because the virus, as we've just heard, is indiscriminate. And that's what my faith tradition would say, is how are you getting in balance? How is the world getting in balance? Humans getting in balance with nature? And then that, of course, leads on to, well, we're seriously not in balance with nature. And this is a bit of a hard kind of knock. One of the tiniest things that doesn't actually fit into the definition of what a living thing is, and that is a virus. It's one of the smallest bits of DNA that can transfer from anything to anything else. And yet look at the effect, the power that it has, and to affect the world, humans. And now even the tigers in New York, the New York Zoo, have coronavirus. I mean, that blew my mind. This is a time for, and what's great is we can sit and have a little time of introspection, because we can't be doing busy. And look at the way that the environment has changed, even those beautiful maps over China, where the levels of CO2 and all the CHCs, all of the stuff that humans produce have decreased because we are staying at home. There's some beauty in this. It is really sad that we have to suffer death for it to, our own deaths, for us to actually start paying attention to that. That's the sort of thing that our faith tradition says. So in terms of human, we're connecting with each other much more. All those videos of, like, even the Royal Dutch Ballet is giving ballet lessons, not just to keep their own dancers all in step, sort of, as it were, sorry, pun completely intended, but also to to connect with everybody else. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's the nature. That's the nature of human, is to be connected. And then to think about this time is about balance, and finding balance in yourself and finding balance in the connections. And the other thing I wanted to say about that is, in terms of balance, in terms of humans, what are we finding that's the most important? All those people who are doing essential jobs. And yet those people tend to be the ones that get paid the worst. All the people who work in grocery stores, who are given one mask, found out from a friend of mine who works at Trader Joe's, one paper mask. I've been saying for over a month, we need masks, we need gloves, and they're not doing anything. I'm on a medical absence, leave of absence from that, because I refuse to subject myself to the possibility of picking this up. I'm too old to, I am likely not survivable person. And when it can be transmitted just by talking to people, oh, hell no, I'm not going to put myself, sorry, forgive me. I will not subject myself to that. And so those people are not being paid the greatest. You can't survive on a Trader Joe's income. You have to double up, treble up, quadruple up with people. So all the people who collect our trash, all the people who do all the hospital staff, I mean, amazing. And we're realizing that that's where all of these people who are servicing us, all of those people are the ones who are, they're frontline workers too, in a different sort. And thank them. say thank you to the Amazon Prime driver, say thank you to the USPS driver, thank you for the cleaners who keep it all clean, and the trashmen, and the people who work the grocery stores. Finding balance in how we think about what's important in our society. That's what my faith tradition would say.
Amen. Ashe. Dilip shared that the Indian air is so clean now, a 36-year-old told him that he saw Himalaya in his backyard for the first time. As a person living with asthma, it's been much better for me, and I only live less than a mile away from a refinery here in Benicia. Kate Boisvert, I think you had yourself unmuted. Did you want to share something?
Is she unmuted, Will?
Yeah, she's unmuted. Maybe she stepped away. Is there anyone else that wanted to share while we wait for Kate? Nagar, and then Gary.
Thank you so very much. I was just amazed, that how even without talking during this time, kind of our hearts come closer to one another. It's not a lot of human contact, but just the way that our interactions are, just the little things or the details that now we pay attention to that we used to not pay attention to. And I think that makes a difference. Although a lot of it's a very challenging situation, but from hardship, sometimes something tender and kind and beautiful sprouts, just like like a blooming flower. And I think that these two forces are going on in this historic time together. And one of the things that kind of it made me at least to come back closer to myself, and especially when Sufi meditation, from April 4th, there have been live Sufi meditation classes or sessions that are going on Instagram live, and it's every day. So that has really brought another energy while I have been in this time that I was kind of closer to myself. And I see that from different parts of the world, especially that, the streaming is, the instructors from MTO from different parts of the world have that 30 minutes from Germany, Italy, France, from Chicago. And it's such a beautiful, it's so beautiful that I'm by myself, but I really find going, having deeper, connecting to my heart, and that's something very much more powerful. And I think that and the sessions are usually live, but they also are posted on Facebook, Tamako's app, and so later on for review. But so that's been something that I have been very paying attention, and also that I can hear the birds. I mean, outside. Before I used to not, but and I don't know if there are any different. I'm sure there are differences in our nature, but when I wake up in the morning, the birds really sound like, I don't know, they're enjoying their time, if I'm not wrong, but I enjoy them. So, but what has been keeping me in our connection in MTO Shah Mahsudi School of Islamic Sufism has been the Tamakos, or the Art of Sufi Concentration and Meditation, that is going live on Instagram. And if any of you would like to join, I'd be happy to share information. It's for everyone to, if they enjoy or like to benefit from their balancing exercises. And the theme for it is be balanced, because we human beings, in this part, and I think, we mentioned balance, and so that balance also inwardly within the heart really is experienced. And if you're interested, I can share the information here.
And we put the link to the Tamarcos app in the Facebook page as well. And now Gary.
Hi, everyone. Will, can you hear me? Will, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Carolyn, thanks, everyone. Looking overall of what's occurring in our world today, I've been struck by, actually, despite the losses that have occurred, death and physical suffering and mental, emotional pains, I've been struck that we've been actually handed a wonderful opportunity at the global level and the personal level to have a reset button. And by that, I mean it's given us great opportunity to reflect not only globally and worldly what we are doing as united people, and united we should be, as well as on a personal level to reflect on where we are at, what's important to us, who is important to us. And it's giving me great pause to think about the people that I reach out to now, not only more so in family, but also in our congregation. Several years ago, our faith tradition leader gave us the principle that our homes ought to be more center faith-based. Actually, many of you may not be aware that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints considers the home as the second most sacred setting in a person's life outside of our temples. And several years ago, our faiths went from a 3-hour block of worship study together in our chapels down to a 2-hour block. With that extra hour, be focused on using the home as the center of not only teaching, but also worshiping, and also being able to reach out and help one another. So during this time, our faith has caused us to reach out more individually to people by phones, also by other social media networks. And Will, I've been impressed by the extent and depth of things that are been placed up on the I4C website, and I thank you for that. It impresses me and it humbles me as well. And so what I really want to do is maybe as I4C, I want for us to have maybe a reset button. While I miss the social interactions, I was struck by Philip Stone's comments in his videotape that he doesn't call it social distancing. He called it physical distancing, and that we still have the opportunity to touch one another's lives and to warm their hearts and to be unified with them through the various social media that we've been granted in today's world. I mean, you look at the epidemics that occurred in previous histories of life, and those people were truly isolated. And we're fortunate not, at this time that we don't have that obstacle or stumbling block. And so I've been impressed, as others have been, that I've admired the unselfish acts that have occurred, both as Felicity described, by the store clerks, the first responders, the medical staff, and others. And so I'm just mindful that we have during this time, while it's a great suffering, we have an opportunity to express our love and our heartfelt appreciation to others. And that's what I've been struck with in terms of also maybe this is a good time for us in I4C to take a look at ways that we can continue the outreach in using the tools that we've been given. That's it.
Gosh, thank you, Gary. It's really interesting to hear how you've been dealing with this. It's really neat. We're at 10, but I wondered if we had one more. It's Passover. My goodness, do I have someone from the Jewish faith to tell us how you're celebrating Passover today?
Terry might be our last one on the call. Terry Moss, are you available to talk, or David?
I'm here. This is Terry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Sorry. about the barking dog. That's why I'm on mute. I apologize. It's not my dog. I'm sorry I can't join you by face, but especially with the invitation of talking about Passover, I just wanted to say there's a connection with what Gary was saying about his faith tradition and the Jewish tradition, which is that the home is a place for sacred traditions, and Passover is probably the biggest one of all. We don't usually do a Seder at our synagogues. We do them in our homes, and it can be a long, drawn out, and now more fun affair, and this year a crazy affair with Zoom. So I just wanted to add that, and then also to say how important it is. I am on the membership committee and would like to invite anyone who's interested in strengthening our relationships with our member congregations, starting with your own, being an ambassador of I4C to your own congregation by letting your congregation and its members, your friends, about the great work that I4C is doing. And as we open up at some point, we will have more workshops and other ways that we can provide services to, in terms of workshops and so on, to our members. But I think in this time, especially of disconnect, it's really important to understand the value of interfaith and interfaith perspectives, and therefore the work that I4C is doing. So I want to ask two things. One, if anyone is interested in being a part of our membership committee and helping us strengthen the relationships between I4C and our members, please contact me, terrymoss55@gmail.com. And secondly, to please let everybody know what our interfaith I4C is doing and how it is so enriching to be able to experience the different perspectives of our communities and of faith, and how we are here for one another in times of difficulty and also in times of joy to share that.
And
So
Terry, we're sharing the
letting me
picture.
jump in.
Terry, we're sharing the picture of your Passover in the age of COVID-19 and picture with your computer and TV at the Passover table with your Seder plate and Haggadah and candles
we got
lit.
it all in there. It was a wonderful connection with a small group of my interfaith friends, my friends from Temple Isaiah, and we're in a small personal growth development group called Musar, and so we held our own service, and it was 2 hours, which is pretty remarkable for a Zoom, and we all felt so wonderfully connected. And yes, thank you for sharing that, Will.
Sure thing. David wanted to share something too.
I was just going to say that we had congregants who had Zoom Seders last night, and we have been having a second night Seder in person, but today the second night Seder is going to be at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be a Zoom Seder.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Wonderful.
Thanks, David. The other thing I wanted to point out, if I can pull it up here, is here it is that I've started doing interviews on Zoom. And so Randy's and mine was only about 20 minutes. That's what I'm shooting for. Philip and I had additional things to share yesterday, but if you want to schedule a time that works for you and me, we can set up a little recording and talk about it beforehand and prepare and be able to share a bit about what interfaith means to you and how it is that you live that out in your life. And so we're going to start posting. We're going to start featuring more of these videos on our Facebook page or on our website, on our Interfaith Council website, and we're really going to start using that YouTube channel and lifting up conversations for folks to be able to experience a bit about what interfaith means to you, as well as sharing some of your experience with others as well. So thanks. Just email me when you have some time, and we'll brainstorm for a few days, and then we'll set up a time to do it.
Will, so we're at the end of our time. Thank you so much for sharing. My goodness, it was, as always, enlightening to hear all of our different perspectives, and that's what we're all about. Will, can you tell us lastly, our main big event that people should try and participate with if they can is the March 3rd retreat. Would you like to speak to the retreat? Yes, this is the retreat. We have we made a couple decisions just before the stay-at-home order was confirmed, that we really want to that we made the decision that we're going to have to do it by Zoom. And fortunately, Skylar Wilson and Jennifer Listig do Zoom on a regular basis. And so it was good for us to be able to have our planning team talk through what that retreat will look like. It won't be at San Damiano. We are hoping our July retreat will be able to be there by then. But for now, our May 3rd retreat will be on Zoom, and it will still include some times of inviting people to go out into their yards or out into nature and being a part of and reconnecting with nature, because the theme, of course, is the spirituality of protecting and honoring Mother Earth. And so we want to just lift up that, that we will continue with that on May 3rd, but it will be an online experience, and it will include some times of silence and some times of personal sharing as well. Thank you, Will, and thank you to you all. I want to say how much I've appreciated hearing from you all, and know that you're all in our thoughts. And please reach out to each other throughout this month. Don't wait till next month to talk to each other, please. And let me just add this quote to send us out on our way from David Hollis. In the rush to return to normal, use this time to consider which part of normal are worth rushing back to. Thank you very much.
And also, Carolyn, the date for the retreat is May the 3rd?
Yes, it is. May 3rd from 2 to 6 p.m. still, but we'll be doing it from home. And you can sign up on our website. All right? Thank you all.
It was first time for me. Real pleasure talking to you. Keep up good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dalip. Blessed be. Be well.
Be well.